welcome. Today we are going to be covering the basics of how to use the three main Microsoft Office products. So we are going to cover Microsoft Word, Microsoft Excel, and Microsoft PowerPoint. So we will be going through today how to use each of those three applications and the main tools and how to navigate the menus. All right. So first questions first. So what is Microsoft Office and when do you need to use Microsoft Office? So Microsoft Office is what we call, excuse me, clicked a little early there. So Microsoft Office is what we call a suite of applications. So let's break that down. So what that means is that they are a group of applications put out by the same company. And each of the applications serves a different function. So you can think of a computer application, it's kind of like a tool in your toolbox. It's there to do a specific thing, and you take out that tool when you need it as part of your computer. So Microsoft Office has a number of products that serve a number of functions. So we're going to go over the most important three, and we'll talk about what functions they can do. So when you use these applications, so again, we're thinking about this like taking a tool out of your toolbox. So when you use those applications, that creates something called a file. So you want to think about a file. You're taking your tool out of your toolbox, you're using it to do a specific thing. The file that you create from using that application, you can think about it like storing a piece of paper. It creates a digital memento, basically a digital piece of paper that you can then store on your computer. So as you use these applications, you can almost like build a file cabinet full of different digital items that you have created. And I know I'm using two different metaphors here, but essentially you create a digital footprint here with these applications that you can save and then you can open to use again. So now we're going to go over, so I've mentioned the three applications we're going to go over. So now we're going to talk about what you would use each of them for. And I've laid them out in the order that we're going to discuss them and discuss how to use them. So the first, and I would argue the most important of the Microsoft applications is Microsoft Word. So Microsoft Word is what's called a word processor. So essentially it is a digital typewriter. You can use it to create documents, write a digital letter. You could even make labels or brochures on it. And then from that digital footprint, you can print things out, you can email it. But think about Microsoft Word like your digital typewriter, and it is there for making documents digitally. The second one we're going to talk about is Microsoft Excel. So Microsoft Excel is there for spreadsheet management. So Microsoft Excel, almost think about it as like the digital version of your old bank balance sheets. So it can plus a calculator combined. So it can track numbers and data. It can do math for you. And it can be used to store data sets if you need to track numbers. And then it can take that data and it can make charts and graphs. Now the last one, and this is a little meta because this is what I'm using now, The last one is called PowerPoint. And PowerPoint is used in a similar way to how slides used to be used for a presentation. It creates a digital slideshow. And so it can present text, graphics, charts, pictures. But as you see now, it can be used to take up the whole screen and to present information with the purpose of presenting information. So breaking down those three, just to reiterate, so Word, you're using it as your digital typewriter. It is there to write documents. Excel is your digital spreadsheet. It's there to do math. There to store numbers. PowerPoint is your digital slideshow. It's there to present information. All right, so these are three different applications, but there are some things that apply to all three. So we're going to talk first a little bit about some things that are common with how all the applications work. Because they are part of the same company, they have some similarities in how they're structured and how you can use them. So the first similarity is in how what we call their icon looks. So the icon is a little picture that you can see here, and that is going to let you know it's like the digital address to open up that application. So again, if we go back to the metaphor of the tool in the toolbox, these are like the drawer where that tool sits. So this is how you know, this is how you're going to get to it and open it up. And the symbols for Word, PowerPoint, and Excel look like this. Word has the W, PowerPoint has the P here, and Excel has the X here. So I'm going to show you here what that looks like to open when it's on a desktop like this. And I will show you too the other way to open it from a start menu. So there are going to be two main ways here. The icons right here at the bottom right. These are, like I said, it's almost like a digital address or a digital equivalent of a drawer for your tool in your toolbox. So this is how you're getting to it. So to open up Microsoft Word, click on this W here, and there it goes. There it starts. And we're going to talk about what to do once we get here. But the first step is opening it. So that is one way. So you look for these icons that are on your desktop. The other way to open up an application on a Windows computer is down here in the bottom left in the Start menu. So you can see here when I click that bottom left icon, it's going to pull up a list of every application that I have, and then I would go down. So if I want Microsoft Word, I go down to W, and there it is on that list here. I can left double click on that, and it will open it up. So those are the two ways to open up the application. All right, so the next thing that's important to know about all three of these is saving the file. Now we mentioned earlier what a file is. So a file, think of it as like a piece of paper that you are putting in a folder in a file cabinet. It is a digital object. It is a digital record of the work that you did. So for example, if you typed out a letter, the file of that letter would be the written text you typed out saved. So in order to keep your work when you're working in a Microsoft Office application, you need to save it. It's not going to automatically save. You have to tell the application that you want it saved. So This menu I'm showing you here is, it looks, you can see it looks pretty much the same between all three of the applications. On the left here is Microsoft Word. On the middle is Microsoft Excel, and on the end here is PowerPoint. So they all have this file menu, and we're going to go into where to see a file menu. But this file menu is how you save and then open up a file. So you can see here on this left-hand menu, you have a couple options. Oh, whoop, accidentally clicked that. Did not mean to do that. So you have a couple options that you can see are the same. These menu options read the same between all three applications. So one is open, and that's what you would use to open up a file you have already been working on. It's taking a piece of paper out of your folder that you have already worked on. It's there for things that are already done or you want to continue on. New, obviously at the top, is for creating something brand new. Once you have created something brand new, you want to save it. So you can see below open here on this menu, you have save and you have save as. There's a slight difference between these two. It's not gonna, they will both save your file. Save as is there for if you want to rename the file or if you want to keep the old file that you worked on and you want to save changes as a new document. So save as creates and saves a new document. Save, you just keep putting it into that old document. Save as will keep the old document that you were working on, but then it will create a new one with all the changes you've made. So you're mostly going to want to use save. Save as is for that situation of maybe you received a questionnaire you filled out, and you wanna keep a copy of the questions, but then you want a separate document with your answers in it. And that would be an instance to use save as. You would click save as. When you click save as, you get to rename something. So that would be an instance for that. So that's a little bit about how you open and save documents. We're going to go into later how to create new ones, but really what I want you to understand here is that you can open previous documents that you've worked on, and then once you have done work or you've created a new document, you save it. So I'm going to go ahead and show you what this looks like. Let me share a different window here. I can show you what this looks like. So here is my blank Word document. I haven't started working on it yet, but if I wanted to save it, I would click over here under File, and here would be my option to save. And if I click that, you can see I clicked save, and now any changes I've made, the next time I open up that document, they will be there. So that's what that looks like. File, save, and then the save as if I needed to change the name of the document. All right, so that is file, save, and save as. So the next thing I want to show you is how we open a file. And I kind of showed you in the background, but now I want to show you what it looks like here. So you've got, sorry, my screen sharing's being a little wacky here. Sorry about that. There we go. Okay. So to open a file, it's going to be very similar to opening up the application. So I can see right here, I have a Word file, I have an Excel file, and I have a presentation file. So to open up that file, I would just need to click on that icon where the file is. So similar to how the application worked, this is almost like an address. It's like a digital address that where that file is stored that I access through this icon. So again, just to show you, click on it and it opens up. That's what opening those files looks like. All right. So another thing in common between the three applications, something that's the same. So I took these screenshots. This top one is from Microsoft Word. The middle one is from Microsoft Office, or excuse me, from Microsoft Excel. And the bottom one is from PowerPoint. So sorry about that. So when I open a file and it takes up my computer screen, I use these three buttons at the top to manipulate how I want that window to look on my screen. So the left one here that is a line, that's what we call the minimize button. So that's what you do if you want your screen to go away. You don't want, or you want that file to go away from your screen. You don't want to close it, you're not done with it, but you want to look at something else on your screen. So you use this line to minimize it. Now let's say the opposite is true and you can't see the window large enough. You need to make it bigger. Then you're going to maximize it. You want to fill up your whole screen. You can click this button that looks like a square. That's the maximize button. That is going to make your window fill up your screen. Now the last one on the right here, the X, that is the close button. So once you're done with it, you can click that X to make it go away. So in all three of these applications are going to have these three options in the top right of their windows. So let me show you. All right. So for example, you can see here in the window that I am currently using, the presentation I am giving you guys, here you can see this is the minimize button. So this is going to make it go away. Now I click it to get it back. This is the maximize button. So this is going to make it, you can see it fills up the whole screen. And then if I were done with this presentation, I could close out this X here to make it go away. So that's what that looks like. So these are true of all three of these applications, which is why I wanted to talk to you guys about it before we get into the individual ones. All right, the next thing that all three applications share is they offer templates. So depending on what you're doing, you may want to use these templates. So I personally, just to share my experience with using these templates, I use these templates for making labels on Microsoft Word, because they'll have like the right size so you can print it out on label paper, but it has a lot of options. So if you are making a particular type of document on Microsoft Word, otherwise Microsoft Excel has presentation templates, and we'll look at those actually at the very end because those are a little specific to Excel. But Microsoft Word or Microsoft Office has loaded these things that it thinks you might need if you're making a particular type of document or spreadsheet or presentation. And those come up when you create a new one. So for example, so let me show you what they look like when they come up. So if I'm creating a new Word document, remember I'm going to go to my big W button, my icon. I'm going to click to open up. And right here, sorry, so just to show you a little bit more what I did here. So all of these templates. So sometimes you'll see it features templates just right here. Otherwise, right in here, it's giving me ideas for templates. So I could go through and pick, and that's all in that new menu when you open it up. All right. So another thing that's similar between all three of them is the way their menu is structured. So these are the three different applications. The top is Microsoft Word, the middle is PowerPoint, and the bottom is Excel. But you can see these menus look really similar. They have a section that's File, a section that says Home, a section that says Insert. And there are a few different things from there, but you know, these three, especially the File, the Home, and the Insert, are really similar. And the way you're going to navigate the menu is the same between all three. So you'll see what that looks like as I demonstrate clicking between. This is called the ribbon, the Microsoft Office ribbon, and that really is going to be how you're able to customize the document, the spreadsheet, or the presentation that you're making. But they all three kind of rely on using this ribbon. Okay, so now we're going to get started going in depth with Microsoft Word. So we were kind of covered so far all of the, you know, the commonalities between these three and what they share in common. So now we're gonna dig in to how to use Word in particular. So the first thing we're going to do is create a blank Word document. So I'm going to go back to my menu here. And this is my, it says Word 2016, my big W. I'm going to double click, double left click, and it's going to give me the option to create a blank document. So this is what that looks like when you're starting out. So this is blank. I haven't done anything to it. So again, just to show you one more time what it looks like to get to that. All I did was I opened up Microsoft Word and I clicked blank document. So that's what it looks like to get to there. And this, we went into a little bit. I just went over a little bit. So like I said, this is called the My Office ribbon. That's going to have all of our menu options. And these are the different tabs that will pull up different menu options. So we're going to go over the most important of these. And this is unique to Microsoft Word and how it's structured. But in this Home tab is our font, all of our font menu options. So I'm going to show you what that looks like to go in and change the font and how to locate that. So we mentioned this at the start, but again, the File menu is going to have a lot of these important options. So a File menu is how you open documents you've already been working on. A File menu is where you can save as, print. So the File menu is really important. So just to show you where that's located again. On a Word document, so you can see here, the default is to be on the Home tab. And so to get to File, I just click on the word File. I single left click, and that's going to give us all of these options. Okay. So the next thing, we are going to go to the Insert tab. So the Insert tab, the Insert tab is going to give us options to put in if we have a picture, for example, here, or if we wanted to add a shape into our Word document. That's what's going to be there. So again, we just, to move between these different tabs on the Office ribbon, so to move between these different menus, I just click on the word, and you can see I'm going between all three of these. So I think, yeah, that file menu, that home menu, the insert menu, and then the last one we're going to talk about that I think is really important is the layout menu. So the layout menu is going to determine how big your document is, what margins your document is, if you have columns. So that's what's important to know about the layout menu. Okay, so we're going to get a little more into this font menu that I mentioned. Because of all of them, if you want to, really customize the text you're using. So Microsoft Office is going to default to a specific font and a specific size. And in fact, I think you can see it right here. It's going to default to this font called Calibri in size 11. So if you need to change what font you use, the font size you're using, the color you're using, whether it's bold, you're going to be working in this font menu. So let's take a look. So I'm going to go back to my Word document and I'm going to start typing. So let's say, hello, welcome. We are learning. I hope I typed that correctly. Microsoft Office today. So let's say I wanted to make this bigger in a different font. So I've typed it out. To change font, I highlight it and make sure that I'm in this home tab. And here is the font menus that I was talking about. So to change that, to change the font, I'm going to go ahead and click. And this is going to give me all my options. So let's say I wanted to change it to Times New Roman. And it's going to show you the most recent ones you've used first, but then it will go in alphabetical order. So I'm still highlighted. And highlighting is what's going to tell Microsoft Office that I want to change this text. So the highlighting is important. So if I wanted to make this text bigger, so I've already changed the font. I went into the font menu. This menu next to the font controls the font size. So this is where I can make it bigger or smaller. I can go up and down. I click and you'll notice I was clicking these little arrows to the right. So again, this little arrow to the right of the font name and to the font size. So that's what's going to open up those options and you can see our text changed. It's pretty similar. First I'll go over text color and then we'll go over bold and italics. So it looks pretty similar to text color. So the text color is this menu right here, the letter with the line below it. So again, I use that arrow to the right, open it up, and this gives me all my options to change the color. So let's say I want to change it to purple. And now let's say I want to change it back. So I highlight, click that triangle next to the letter with the color below it, and then I'm going to change it back to black. So the last way to change font we'll talk about is bold, italics, and underline. So again, your text has to be highlighted. Let's say I just want to bold or italicize this word hello. So I highlight hello, and I click B. This right here below the font menu, this is going to change that. Now to undo that, I just have to click it again. Same thing with italics. To make it italic, I click the I. To unmake it italics, I click the I again. Same thing for underline. Click on it to make it underlined, and then to change the formatting back, I unclick. All right. So there we've kind of gone through how to open up a Word document and how to manipulate the menu and the text. And we can definitely take some questions at the end. And now we're going to go on to Excel. So Excel, it's largely the same process. So again, we have that window, and you can see here in Excel, it's giving me those templates automatically. But we click on the application, and we can click on blank workbook to create a new Excel spreadsheet. So once we have a new Excel spreadsheet, it looks like this, and it's going to give you what are called cells. And the cells are where you can enter the numbers or the data that you need in. So each individual cell, it's like a row on, you know, your old, you know, like bank book, calculation sheet. So it's there. Each cell is a place to keep that number, and you can, you know, put a list of data in the number of cells in order in a particular way. You can enter in a bunch of numbers and then have Excel, you know, add them up for you. Have Excel, you know, take the average or the sum. So these cells are really just there to enter in your numbers as you need them. All right, so as I mentioned, you know, Excel is able to perform all these mathematical functions, and that is from the formula button. So that formula button is the green FX you see kind of in the middle here. So to click on that, that gives you the menu of different functions you can put in. So right here, it's automatically giving me the option if I wanted to add up a series of numbers, if I wanted to take the mean, if I, you know, down here, it's, you know, if you wanted to have the sign. So this gives you a lot of different options. Whoa, excuse me. Whoa, excuse me. All right, so we're going to take a look at what it looks like to open up a new Excel document, to enter numbers, and to enter a formula. So I'm going to show you those three things. So first things first, to open up Excel, again, I'm going to go and I'm going to find my Excel icon. I'm going to double left click, and that's going to enter this menu for me. And similar to Word, we have template options here that it's going to give us, but I just want a blank one to enter in some numbers. So, and these are, as I mentioned, these are cells. And this is where you can enter in your numbers. So let's say, you know, if you're tracking, you know, let's say I'm tracking the number of holiday cards I'm sending out per year. So let's say I know, you know, in 2010, I know I sent out 50, 2011, let's say I know I sent out 56, 2012, I sent out 58, 2013. So you can see here I know I sent out 60. So you can see here I'm creating this series of numbers. So really, you know, Excel is here to track numbers and data. So from there, let's say I wanted to know on average how many Christmas cards I sent out in these years. So what I would do here is I would create a formula. And I mentioned, you know, we have our insert function here. So this FX button, say I want to do average. I click OK. And then I need to let it know, you know, which averages I would like it to take. So I want it to take, every cell has a name. So these 4 cells I want it to take the average of are B1, B2, B3, and B4. The other thing you can do is you can just move it over there, which is a little easier. So I'm telling Excel, I'm highlighting, I'm choosing these, and I'm telling it I want the average of these. And then I click OK. And see, it came up with my average here. So it takes a little more practice to get comfortable making those formulas, but once you are, those are some of the types of things Excel can do for you. But again, the main things I want you to know are just you type the numbers into the cells, and we'll get into this next, but the menus work very similar to Word. So again, we have the same type of file menu to open old ones that you've worked on, to save your work, to create a new one. So that file tab, that file menu is going to have those same options. So similar to Word, Excel also has an insert menu here. This time it can be used to really more insert charts. But yeah, it has that same menu, the same menu options you can click between. And then one unique thing to Excel is this formula menu. So those, kind of what I was going over earlier, this is going to give you a quick way to get to the math that you want Excel to do. And then this last one, similar to Microsoft Word, Excel has a page layout menu. So this is really, you know, telling it how big you want the margins to be. And especially, this is especially important for if you're going to print something out, but just how you want the page to look. Okay, so I'm just going to walk you again through the menus here on Excel. So we were in the home menu. This, similar to as I showed in Word, this is going to give you options to change what your font and your text look like. This is going to take you to the file menu. That's going to give you all those options to save, to open a new one that you've previously been working on, to print. This is that insert menu. It's going to let you put in a chart or a graph. And this is the page layout menu. It's going to show you what it looks, how the page itself looks like. For Excel, this is really only important if you're printing out. And then that unique menu to Excel, the formula menu. So this is going to give you all the different options for the math that you want Excel to do. So, I used this button to insert the formula I wanted, but one thing you could do too, you could highlight the numbers, go to the formula menu, and here's the auto sum, the auto average. So clicking that and highlighting that is another way to get to those functions. All right, so last but not least, we're going to talk about PowerPoint, and this is going to be a little meta because I am working within PowerPoint. And so like I said earlier, you really want to think about PowerPoint as a digital slideshow. So you're really, able to present information in a visual format. So that can be text, that can be pictures, that can be graphs. For PowerPoint, the templates they give you are way more important than in Word or Excel, just because they will give you a design you can use for your presentation. So let's show you what that looks like. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new PowerPoint. And right here, these templates will show me what my PowerPoint looks like. So you can look through, it'll give you, lots of different options, and you can pick one you like. So you can scroll through, see one, wait for one that you think looks good. So I'm going to say, I think this one looks nice. And here it is. So it's going to give me, when you use that template in PowerPoint, it's going to give you different types of slides, and you can customize it to how you want based on what presentation you're giving. So let's say you're giving a presentation about a trip you took. So right in here, it's going to start you with a title slide. So you could say our trip. And maybe you could put your family name here. And then it's going to give you all these different slides. Now, if you choose the template, it's going to come with all these pre-filled slides that then you can change to how you want. A different option, if you don't like that, so again, I'm going to go back and open. So you can do a blank presentation. And then it's just going to give you some blank slides. And you can start. The way you add a slide is this new slide button here. So let's say we know our title here is our trip. And I want to add another one. So this will give you the different options here. The new slide button gives you the different options for what you want to put in. So let's say I know I want to put in a picture. So I'm going to pick this one here. This is title and content. And this would allow me to put in my picture. I could insert my picture here that's saved to my computer and add a title. Now, this does not look as nice as the templates we had. So we're going to go over now the menus for how to format your presentation. So again, similar to Word and Excel, you have that file menu, the file tab, and that's going to give you those options to save as, new, open, just like we've talked about. PowerPoint is also going to have that home menu that we talked about, and that's going to let you, format the text that is on your presentation. That one's particularly important for PowerPoint, where it has the new slide button, so you can keep adding slides. So that home menu is really important for adding and formatting in PowerPoint. Okay, yep, and we've gone over, how to add a new slide. Again, that home button or that new slide button in home. If you learn anything about making a PowerPoint presentation, that is the one thing I want you to take home, is that you have this home button, this home menu where you have the new slide button. All right, so one other thing I want to talk about is once you have created slides, is moving slides. So you can see here, as I am in the PowerPoint, I am in the normal screen. I'm not in presenter mode. So it's showing me kind of like a preview deck of all the slides here. And I can use that to move them around if I wanted to. So if I wanted to reverse, maybe I didn't put in exactly the right order. So you guys can see that I just moved this slide back. So this kind of list will let you move the slides around. All right, so now we're going to talk about designing, the slide design if you're not using the template. So we'll go back to our blank presentation. So let's say I'm like, oh, I want this to look a little nicer. So the menu for that in PowerPoint is design. So you're going to use the design menu to give it, and that's going to give you a lot of options for how you want the slide to look. And once you pick a design, the other slides you add are going to complement that design. So you're picking, kind of what you want the rest of your slides to look like too. So let's say, for example, I'm going to scroll through here, say, oh, I like the look of this. Okay, so when I go to my home menu, I can see here that my slides, it gives me the options to add slides that have the same color, the same font. So it's kind of pre-designed for you. So again, once you have that file opened and some things started on there, that design tab in the menu is going to control how the PowerPoint looks. All right, and so we kind of went through what that looks like. All right, so the last thing with PowerPoints is you can add transitions. So if you want the slides to look a certain way when they go between each other, you go over to this tab, transitions, and you can see here I have none set. But let's say I wanted to put a transition in, I would use this menu. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put a cut transition in a couple of these here so you can see what that looks like. So I just went ahead, I highlighted it, and then I chose what transition I wanted. So the last thing, the most important, so once you have all your slides set, is presenting. So right now we are in what's called normal mode, so we are not presenting. So to present, you have a couple different options to get there. So option 1 is down here on the bottom right, or the very bottom of my window. Slide sorter, green view, there's slideshow. So I can click that, and that's gonna turn it into a presentation. The other option is you can go to slideshow, and I could say from current slide. So now, because those should be showing up here. Yeah. So, yep. So, and that's in the presenter mode. And that you can use these arrows down here on the bottom left to go between the slides. All right. So the last thing I want to talk about before I take questions here is saving and managing files. So as I started off with, using all 3 of these applications creates a file. And a file, like I said, think about it like a piece of paper where you're keeping all that information stored that you are then putting in a folder. It's that same idea. So on your computer, it's best to have those organized and have things that are similar be grouped with each other. And so it's best to have a system, and you can create folders. And we're always, we have book a librarian appointments as an option, and we're always happy to walk you through, what that looks like. But just in general, one last thing to note is when you're saving that file, you're storing that file, you're storing a particular place, and you want to think about grouping things together so it's easy to find when you come back. All right. Wow, well, that was a lot of information. I'm going to go ahead and